so when I was 14 years old, there was this guy at my school, and we'll go ahead and we'll just call him Lorenzo. Now, I liked this kid so much, like I was obsessed with him. I was so obsessed that I had posters of him in my room, but he never really noticed me. Like, no matter what I did, he never cared about me. So this one day I was thinking, and I decided that if I was to do something, you know, like save his life or save a family member's life, he would automatically fall in love with me. So I knew he had a dog, and I knew where the dog was always at because I was kind of a stalker. Anyways, I decided that I was gonna steal his poodle named Lana. Now, I knew Lana was like his prized possession. And the only reason I knew that is because he had pictures of the dog in his locker thing. After a while of thinking about it, I decided that that's what I was gonna do. I was going to steal his dog named Lana. I was home and I got out of my house like around 5 p.m. I then went over to where he lived at. Like I said, I was home and then I left my house around 5 p.m. I went over to his backyard and I hopped the gate to get into their backyard where she was at. And I also made sure to put multiple layers of clothes and mittens on me just in case like she would bite me. So then I took Lana and then me and her ended up going back to my house. When I got back home, I ended up putting her in like my old dog's little house thing. And then some time goes by. But then some time passes by and I started seeing posters up. And the posters were them trying to look for Lana. So then I remembered, I was like, oh, I got her in my backyard. And just so you guys know, no, I did not starve her. There was plenty of dog food. Now, when I seen the poster, I ended up running back to my house and somehow she was dead in the backyard. So then at this point, I didn't want him to know that I did it. So I ended up putting her body near his house. And then it turns out that his sister died from cancer and that was his sister's dog. And since her passing was like an unexpected death, that was really the only memory he had of his sister. I don't know how the dog died, but him and his family moved away and I'm 16 now and I still feel really bad about what I did.
This is why I would never have a long distance relationship. If you have one of those, congratulations. I was in a long distance relationship and this guy had a girlfriend and I didn't know anything about it. So I met this guy on Tinder. Yes, I know. Again, Tinder. Girl, like, give it a break. Yes. Met this guy on Tinder, super sweet. He lived in New York. I was living in Dominican Republic at the time. And we were talking for a good 7 months, like on the phone, FaceTime calls every single night. Mind you, I was doing some charity work because he wasn't looking too good, you know? Here's the thing that really got me. I had his Instagram, I had his Facebook, any social media you can probably think of back then, I had it. So we were talking, we were like, oh my God, like we really wanted to see each other. And I'm like, you know, I'll have to go to New York or you can come here and, you know, we can get to know each other. Well, because of his work, he couldn't go and visit me. So, you know, we ended up getting a plane ticket. He bought me the plane ticket. Yes, thank you. I'm very grateful. Bought me the plane ticket for exactly 9 days. He wanted me to stay at his house, but I was like, no, you know, I'll stay in a hotel. You know, because you can't, even though we were getting to know each other for 7 months, I can't just like go to his house. So he got me a hotel for 9 days. He's like, I'll pay for it. He was like, I will pay for it because it's an inconvenience for you. And I was like, okay. So I get to New York. I'm at the airport. I had to wait for him at the airport for about 3 hours. No, not even kidding. So mind you, I am coming from Dominican Republic. I don't have Uber. I didn't have the Uber app at all. So I'm like, you know what? I'll download the Uber app. I tell him I'll just order an Uber and, you know, we can go for dinner or I'll see you tomorrow because it was like 8 p.m. Refused to let me take an Uber. He's like, a lady like you shouldn't be taking an Uber. I'm on my way right now. I'm so sorry. I got caught up at work. So fast forward, we go out to dinner that night. We didn't even go to the hotel yet. We go out to dinner and I'm like, okay, well, I'm very exhausted. Okay, I'm running out of time. Go to part 2. So I get to my hotel room. He's like, I am going to go home. We can go spend the day tomorrow. I'll be off, but I have to go home because I've been working for too long and I have a cat at home. And I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. We make out. Let me just say this. I have family in New York. So for what's coming, I have family in New York. So next day, he picks me up super early. We go out. We have breakfast. He takes me to Times Square. It was my first time in Times Square. And he keeps on getting this call from this girl. Let's call her D. And, you know, I'm thinking I'm his girlfriend. I'm the person that he's seeing. So I'm like, who is D? And he keeps on, like, declining the call. And mind you, it's connected to his car. So he's like, oh, D is my sister. And I'm like, okay. So it's nighttime. We end up going back to his house. You know, we do the deed. So he's like, I want to show you around my house. He had his like own house. He had a pool, and he's showing me around his house. And then there's like this like down area. I'm not going to say it's a basement because it's kind of like open, but there's like women's clothes in trash bags. Like, not gonna lie, there was like at least 10 trash bags with like women's clothes, and it was like all coming out. It wasn't like tied together. There was purses, shoes, clothes, everything. And so I'm like, whose women's clothes are these? And he's like, oh, that's my sister's. She got a divorce and she didn't have any space in the new apartment that she moved in, so she left some clothes here. I had a gut feeling that he was lying to me, and I'm like, okay, well, I want to go back to like my hotel. I kid you not, next day, someone's like knocking on my hotel door, and I'm like, hello? And this woman is like, he has a girlfriend. And I'm like, I'm sorry, who are you? Because I genuinely didn't know who this girl was. So she's like, let me guess, he paid for your hotel, you saw the clothes in his basement, he told you it was his sister's that got divorced. And I'm like, my jaw was on the floor, bitch. So she's like, yeah, he does that. I'm not his sister, I'm actually his girlfriend. And you're not the first one. And in my head, I'm like, girl, so if I'm not the first one, what are you doing here? So I'm like, well, I have him on Facebook and I never saw like anything about you. And she's like, he always opens a new account, a new Facebook, a new Instagram just to talk with girls. So the last thing she said, she was like, just enjoy your time here. So that's what I did. I went out with my cousins and my uncles and stuff in New York. And that is why I will never have a long distance relationship. I'm married now either way, but good luck to you guys.
Am I wrong for making a post about my daughter's favorite celebrity being rude to us? My daughter and I were recently on vacation. We spent the day in an area that's known to have a lot of rich and famous people, and towards the end of the day, we saw one of my daughter's favorite celebrities, we'll call her A, walking out of a store. My daughter ran to the store, but when she got near A, she was stopped by A's security. They said that A is there with her daughter for her daughter's birthday and want to focus on her daughter. My daughter was very upset because she's been a fan of A for a very long time, so she tried again for a picture but was turned away. My daughter was crushed, so later that night I made a post talking about my experience with A, how she wouldn't let anyone go near her and her daughter, and the fact that her security was rude and not willing to be able to stop for a couple seconds for a picture. How she wouldn't let anyone go near her and her daughter, and the fact that her security was rude, and her not being willing to stop for a couple of seconds for a picture. I understand it's her daughter's birthday, but a 1-minute interaction with a fan isn't going to ruin her day, and if it does, that girl needs to learn that the world doesn't revolve around her. The post ended up getting a lot of attention, and a lot of people actually said my daughter and I were being entitled for expecting A to interrupt her daughter's birthday for everyone that wants a picture. My husband also saw the post and said he couldn't believe that I would bash her for trying to spend the day with her daughter. I'm not trying to bash her for spending the day with her daughter, but she wouldn't be where she is without her fans, so I think she at least owes it to them to take a picture.